What if I told you he was 1 out of 3 wide receivers since the year 2000 with 70 receptions, 900 receiving yards or more, and 10 receiving touchdowns? The other 2 wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr. and Jamar Chase. All right? There are some sleeping giants in fantasy football this year at the wide receiver position, and I personally don't want you guys to miss out on the upside that they can potentially provide. Today, we're going to look at 5 wide receivers who are in offenses that have huge vacated targets. Vacated targets meaning targets left behind by players who are no longer on the team. The Texans last year, Nico Collins, Tank Dell went nuclear. The Packers last year, Jaden Reed emerged as a star. The Lions last year, Sam Laporta stepped up out of nowhere. Okay, what did those 3 teams have in common? They were all top 4 in the NFL in vacated targets. So today we're going to talk about 5 wide receivers with unlimited upside this year. This is part 2. I'll try and link the video to part 1 if you want to watch it. Okay, the first wide receiver is Calvin Ridley. Hang in there with me. I think he's very reasonably priced. The Titans have 121 vacated targets heading into the 2024 season. 79 targets vacated from the wide receiver position specifically, and overall 24.5% of their target share is up for grabs. And don't think about the Titans how you're used to thinking about them, okay? This is not the same team. Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry are out, okay? Now who's in? Brian Callahan, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, Tyler Boyd, J.C. Latham, the first round tackle. All signs point towards this team doing a complete 180 from a run-focused team to a pass-happy team. Why do I believe that? Well, under Mike Vrabel last year, this team had the 7th highest rush rate and in return, of course, the 7th lowest passing rate. They also were in 3 wide receiver sets just 55% of the time, which was the 7th lowest rate in the NFL. And now they're being coached by Brian Callahan, who was with the Bengals last year, who had the 3rd lowest run rate and the 3rd highest passing rate, complete 180. And they were in 3 wide receiver sets 74.2% of the time, which was the 4th highest mark amongst NFL teams. I believe this team is going to throw the ball a lot more than they have in the past. And Calvin Ridley is going to be fed those sweet, sweet targets. Now, in reality, none of this matters if Will Levis is bad, but I think Calvin Ridley is very reasonably priced. If you think about his upside versus his floor in fantasy drafts, I think he has a higher upside than the guys going around him, but definitely a lower floor. I like him as a draft pick this year. All right, second wide receiver, Jordan Addison. Now, hang on. Just let me explain, all right? I think a lot of people are going to hear Jordan, ugh, gross. I don't want to draft Jordan Addison. I don't know who his quarterback is. I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to be good. And I totally get that, but I think the hate has gone too far, and there are certain prices where everyone becomes a pick that I like, and that's what's happened with Jordan Addison. Reminder, he had an incredible rookie year. But do you guys know just how good his rookie season was? What if I told you he was 1 out of 3 wide receivers since the year 2000 with 70 receptions, 900 receiving yards or more, and 10 receiving touchdowns? The other 2 wide receivers in the last 24 years as rookies who did that, Odell Beckham Jr. and Jamar Chase, okay? All right, you're a little more open to this conversation. Now, clearly, Justin Jefferson being injured played a big part as to why Addison was able to produce in that way as a rookie. However, let's not forget, TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL on December 24th, week 16 last year versus the Detroit Lions. As of this day, recording this video, that is about 7 or so months removed from the injury. So there's a likely chance Hawkinson will not be ready to go for about half the season at minimum. And that's important because Hawkinson demanded so many targets of this offense. In fact, Hawkinson led tight ends in target share from the time he was healthy from weeks 1 to 16, okay? And this year, the Vikings have the 8th most vacated targets, even if you remove TJ Hawkinson at 175, 119 targets specifically at the wide receiver position up for grabs in the same offense with the same coach, 27.7% of their target share and 16 targets inside the 10. And as far as off-field issues with Jordan Addison, I get that that's a concern. It's totally a problem, but it won't impact him this year. The plea date is October 7th. However, we know from history that the NFL hands out suspensions like the next year for these type of situation. I always refer to Alvin Kamara, right? Alvin Kamara was on camera beating someone up. We're not here to declare what's right or wrong. I don't care. We're playing fantasy football, right? I'm here to tell you that the NFL doesn't hand out these suspensions in season. you're getting Jordan Addison at a very good discount for a year 2 wide receiver. Everyone froths over year 2 wide receivers, okay? All right, the third player here, third wide receiver, Scary Terry McLaurin. The Commanders have the third most targets vacated at 274, rather. 133 vacated targets at the wide receiver position, 43% of their target share, and 14 targets inside the 10. Curtis Samuel was the second highest targeted player on this team. He left this team for Buffalo in free agency, and right now Terry McLaurin is being ranked as a wide receiver 32. I get it. He's a middle of the pack guy, but he's been better than that on a points per game basis in 4 out of his 5 career seasons. And while I don't trust rookie quarterbacks to support fantasy wide receivers, we've talked about that before, Terry is being drafted near wide receiver 3 prices. And in that research we did for rookie quarterbacks who can support top 36 finishes, we saw 62.5% of the time starting rookie quarterbacks were able to produce a top 36 finish. So it's not anywhere near as risky as a bet as these other rookie quarterbacks that you're relying upon. All right, the fourth wide receiver, we're absolutely obsessed with this wide receiver room in general. Draft whoever you can from the Los Angeles Chargers. We're talking about Josh Palmer right now. The Chargers have the most vacated targets at 395 in the NFL. 395 targets is insane to think about. 239 targets vacated from the wide receiver position specifically. 63%, guys, 63% of the players they targeted in the entire season last year are gone, okay? Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett, and they also have 24 targets inside the 10-yard line where those touchdowns are scored. Now, the offense will be different, but there are so many opportunities available, and these Chargers right now are like the easiest draft picks in fantasy right now. Last year, remember, when Keenan Allen went down, people thought Quentin Johnson would fill his shoes. He did not. He was not very good, but Palmer was actually very, very good. Look at splits last year. In split is with Keenan Allen for Josh Palmer. Out of split is games where there was no Keenan Allen, and in those games, he averaged over 14 points per game and almost 70 receiving yards per game. Josh Palmer has the chemistry already with Justin Herbert. He costs you barely anything to draft. He's going to be on a good offense. Jim Harbaugh has had a top 27 fantasy wide receiver or better every single year he's coached in the NFL. Do not second guess Josh Palmer, Lai McConkey. I don't care. Grab one of those names. All right, the last wide receiver we're going to talk about before we end the video. Hope you're enjoying this and having a good time. And I can't stop talking about this player either lately. I really want to hammer home how good of a value this is. That is Khalil Shakira. Oh, baby, when you talk like that. The Bills have the second most vacated targets in the entire NFL, okay, at 317. 54.7% of their targets available from players who are gone, like Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and 13 targets inside the 10-yard line. Think about who was making these big explosive plays for the Bills in the last couple of years. These big touchdown plays, these exciting plays. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, those were the guys, right? They're gone. And unlike Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir already has inbuilt chemistry in real games with Josh Allen. We saw Shakir build momentum last year when the offensive coordinator changed to Joe Brady midseason. From that point onwards, his targets go up, receptions, receiving yards, fantasy points per game, all go up. And then in the NFL playoffs, when it mattered the most, Shakir scored a receiving touchdown in both of their playoff games versus Pittsburgh and one versus Kansas City. And if you look at this note from 32 beat writers after the first week of preseason, they say Shakir's usage was most interesting as he was an immediate starter with Allen and in 12 personnel, no less. That is huge. That is maybe the biggest report out of this wide receiver room we've seen the entire offseason. If Shakir's going to play in 12 personnel, meaning 2 wide receiver sets, that means he's going to be on the field a ton. Okay, so that is very exciting to see. Something is brewing in Buffalo, and I want to be a part of it. Shakir is the cheapest of those options between Keon and Samuel. That might change here soon, but you got to be drafting him. I promise you, he's such a good late round flyer with so much upside. He's a hidden gem. All right, I appreciate y'all watching the video. Hey, you might have heard me talk about vacated targets a lot. We got to document a database over on the Flock Fantasy website that you can gain access to. Maybe you can glean some information from it as well. All you got to do is be a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. We actually have a 7-day free trial if you want to go check that out. We also have my cheat sheet, which updates weekly, which is reliable rankings, All right, my sleepers, fades, busts, all of that. I appreciate y'all for watching. Subscribe if you like the content and you think it's worthy of a subscribe, and we'll see you very, very soon. All up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.